Grant and Danny live at Caddy's in Bethesda. We're on Caddy's at Cordell. We're going to be here until 6:30, and then we're watching the game. We have a listener watch tonight. People are going to come out. They get out of the office, watch the game with us in Bethesda. Should be a great opportunity for us to all get together and have some fun. The last time we were here watching the Caps, we had a Sunday afternoon gathering that went very, very well with a bunch of listeners. We watched a guy named Alex Ovechkin break Wayne Gretzky's record.
It's Ovechkin is the name, yeah.
That TV monitor right there, 3 down on the left.
Yep.
That's the one I watched him score the record-breaking goal on, and that's the one I watched him address the crowd at center ice with Wayne Gretzky cutting promos. So that'll always be a little trivia question in my family. Where was I at? I was standing right there at that bar, and I was watching that TV, and I was fighting back tears as Alex Ovechkin was addressing the crowd. So hopefully I've got some happy creeper tears again this evening as the Capitals put on a show. But speaking of Ovechkin, different conversation to have about him. Speaking of scoring, 3 games in this series, 0 points. That happened once for him in the regular season, where he went 3 straight games and didn't have a single point. And here we are, second round, chasing Carolina, and Ovi has been held off the stat sheet. Now, coming into the series, we said this might not be a great matchup. This is more of a skating series than like a just set up on the power play or dominate puck possession and score from in front of the cage kind of series. It's not necessarily the OV series that you're traditionally looking for. But you got to find a way to be more productive. You got to find a way to do more than he has. If he doesn't have a point today, do you think they can still win? Or is it an either or? Like they need him to help get them going.
I mean, they can obviously still perform well without him scoring. They did it against Montreal. They won a game in this series without him, lighting the lamp or having a million shots. But you need the catalyst, right? Because to me, if he's getting opportunities, it means you've got puck possession. It means you've got some set up offensive zone time. It means you've got offensive zone faceoffs, and he's ripping one off the draw, or there's a little tic-tac-toe. I think the days of him leading the odd man rush and being the guy that was at the pull charge down to the net, I think that's over, and that's not really happening against Carolina.
What percentage of his goals by year, it would be fun to look at, but like this year we're in transition. I would imagine, unless you're counting like a power play, like his record-breaking goal was kind of in transition.
It was, yeah.
It's like a pass back behind him and he rips it on net. But I don't even really count that where you got some numbers on a power play. I mean like a even strength, or if you want to go 5-on-4, that's fine. But like legitimately a 2-on-1 rush or something, it's very rare. I mean, he is kind of, whether it's his office or somewhere else, he is blasting a shot generally with his feet not necessarily moving. That's kind of, or he's scoring from in front of the net.
Yeah, this is just, again, it sounds like we're knocking the guy, dismissing him. I'm not, but it's a different game. This is a series for skaters, right? And you're going to be have the opportunity. It's almost like a basketball. This is an up and down game, less so than the half court offense. He's a half court offensive genius. Right. In again, to use basketball parlance, where you got possession, you got set up, you can move it around, you can cycle it up, he can get grimy, he can get in front, he can park himself, he can be in a good spot to snipe a shot, etc. A little bit less just getting out and skating and winning the puck and turning people over. To me, the scoring chances, you saw Protas in game 1, for example, that came from a guy skating, using his octopus reach to extend 15 feet away from his body, because he has condor wings for arms, and he uses a 14-foot stick.
Then the really long stick.
Yeah, and then it's in transition, and that's how it's happening. I don't see Ovi doing that. That's not his game. I don't see him winning extra possessions with pucks in neutral ice, or getting guys to turn it over with an aggressive forecheck. That's not who he is right now.
So you've heard the conversation, and I saw the shouty shows on ESPN, had a Chiron today about Ovi and the lack of points. It's become the talking point of the series because he's the biggest name, and he doesn't have a point, and they're struggling to score goals, and they're down 2-1. How much of a problem has it actually been? Like if you're giving him a letter grade, A to F, I thought a lot about this morning, what would you grade him? And I think I would grade him probably a C. So my issue is not that he's been bad. My issue is that he's been too quiet, and frankly, you need him to be better than average.
Yeah.
Like he is the highest paid player on the team, the best offensive player on the team, the best goal scorer. So in the Montreal series, in game 1, he scores the first goal of the game in the series, and then the game winner in overtime. He's already got 2 goals. He had 3 by the time you hit the road 2 games into the series. It was just a whole different impact. That's an A series. I guess someone could convince me because he's not a high-impact player defensively. Like he was not even on the ice really while they were salting the game away and they're winning game 3.
They were using Bavilla on both lines.
You could say he's like, because of that. Defensively, they're hiding him at the end of that game in their lone win. If you want to say it's been a D series, I guess you could. I don't necessarily see where he's been bad. It's just there hasn't been enough of it. And some of that is the heavy lies the crown element of the massive expectations. Or if he was Anthony Beauvillier and he's had the same series where he's leading the team in shots, he had 4 shots in game 3, I don't think you have a big issue. But he's not. He's Ovi. He's a 50-goal-a-season guy. Man.
It's such a strange thing because no one in the right mind is going, yeah, this is the same player he was in his prime. And that's what made this goal season that he had, with a broken leg, mind you, of 40-plus goals, that much more remarkable.
Or the Montreal series.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. But that also doesn't mean that I'm expecting that level of 200-foot game. It's amazing when he's leading the charge and knocking people around like he did in the Montreal series. He hit a whole bunch of people just like Tom Wilson has done, kind of carried over to both series. So the expectation years ago, this is 10 years ago, I'd go, that's a D or worse. I need my best player not to be neutralized. I don't care what they're doing. It's the same excuse when, well, he's double-teamed. The defensive end, who's excellent, impacts the game.
Yeah.
Impact the game. Impact the game. Offensive player in a basketball series. Oh, I bet you the defense is paying attention to Luka Doncic. I bet you they're concerned with Nikola Jokic influence the game.
But can't you impact the game without scoring?
But this is, and you know,
because I think what people do is when Ovi scores, they say he played well. When he doesn't, then he didn't. And it like to me in the first period, he was ultra impactful. Didn't have anything to show for it. Had 3 shots on goal. Now he only had 1 the rest of the game. And I am acknowledging and saying, I agree. He has to be more impactful or they're going to lose the series. But I just think we look at points, goals, assists, especially for him.
For him, yes.
Other than that, the power play goal to win the last game with Karlsson was set up because they were hell-bent on not allowing Ovi to do it.
They were and 100% right about that. So to finish the thought, this is not 10 years ago. This is age 40 Ovi, who's not the same player. So there's still been an impact, but he has been neutralized because of this Carolina style to me.
And that
they've kind of taken that away.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting there going, what a bum. He's a playoff loser and a choke artist. I don't think that's the case anymore. That said, I don't think you're winning this series without him maybe lighting the lamp or creating multiple opportunities. If he ends up in this series with 3 or 4 assists because it's either the primary or he's dishing it or it's a rebound that someone else puts home, you would say, okay, now we've got something impactful. But that hasn't really been there to this point, right?
I mean, not at all. I think 2 things can be true. I think he's got to help them more than he has because points are his love language. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
My wife has expectations for me. Like, every marriage is going to be different. Every relationship, the roles are going to be different. For you, I don't know what you and your wife's situation is, but like her expectations for what you do with your kids on the weekend might be different than my wife's, where she's going, hey, you nailed it today. Good job. And someone else is looking at me going, wow, you lazy idiot. What did you do? Like, what did you actually accomplish? Mm-hmm. And I guess my point is every player's role is different. So there is some element of, with Ovi, if he's not scoring, then what is it you say you do here?
Because you're not defending.
No, you're not great on defense. I mean, there's some back checks that are good or whatever, but you're not being an X factor on that side of the ice. I would point out that he's had some shifts in this series where he's been ultra physical, and I think that those have helped. But again, we're talking about a $9 million player, a Hall of Famer. It's totally fair to say you got to give the boys more. I just don't like getting into the rut of that can only materialize as points. And it has to be goals or assists or it's not going to, or there's nothing to show for it. And I think that's the other side when I say both things are true. That frustrates me a little bit is if it was that easy, all we need is a stat sheet. Why are we even watching the game? Who had a goal? Who had a point? Who had an assist? Whatever. Or if Anderson in that first period was great, well, by that standard, the Capitals didn't do anything in the first period. When the fact is they played their best period of the entire series. Let's open up the phones on this, though. 800-636-1067. Ovi's taken some heat nationally today. And fairly, I think, from the fan base, everyone's saying, where are you? We need you here. How do you feel like he's played in this series? And do you think they can win the game tonight if he's not more impactful offensively? They got a win in this series when he didn't have a point. Is that a possibility this evening, or does he have to lead them into the fight here?